How you doing?
Hey, great. How are you?
Yeah, good. I loved the film. It was so
Thank you.
brilliantly brutal. I loved it. Really great. Of course, it's not based on Hamlet, but it's based on the same Scandinavian folktale that Hamlet was based on. But do you think that the popularization of Shakespeare's version impacted the way you perceive the original Scandic stories? In many ways, is this still an adaptation of Hamlet, would you say?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely there's some things that were in Amleth that didn't get included in here, but there's definitely a handful of things that are in Shakespeare's play that are not in any version of Amleth that we, do our version of, for sure.
And when doing sort of period pieces from a time so far away, where we have generally quite little sort of information, does it enter the realm of fantasy? Is there almost as much guesswork depicting the past as there can be depicting the future?
No.
No.
I mean, there's so many things that I mean, I'm working with the finest archaeologists and historians in the field, and they argue about stuff, because it is 1,000 years ago and they can't know, so if there's a heated debate about something, I'll choose the thing that works better for my story. But generally, if there's a lot of academic consensus that for a lot of things about clothing and about architecture, that we decide to just whatever the consensus is, we would generally go towards that.
I think it's obviously you get some brilliant performances from your leading cast. I mean, Alexander is so raw and committed and feral in this film. Do you think that the industry had a slight misconception about him early on in his career? I mean, he's so handsome that I guess that sometimes when an actor comes through that sort of looks like he does, the industry has a habit of boxing them into being a certain type of role. But have you always seen this type of performance in him? And because I mean, there is something so committed and raw, like I said, about what he brings to this part.
Yeah, I mean, also this is a role that Alex has wanted since he was a kid to some degree. So he was not going to do anything but deliver perfection, which is what he absolutely did. And I mean, another role where I think he's completely fantastic is Diary of a Teenage Girl, where he could not be further away from this character,
Yeah, the Skarsgårds are a talented bunch. They really are. And of course, with Anya, I mean, you've worked with her, of course, before, but it's in that time, in that kind of gap between working with her on The Witch and working with her now, she has grown so big and worked on such a whole myriad of fantastic performances and roles. What was it like working with her now? I mean, I guess you've both grown. Was it quite strange kind of coming back to collaborate after when you've had that kind of time apart and both in that time sort of, I don't know, sort of honed your craft to some degree?
Well, we've kept in touch over the years and have continued a friendship and talk fairly often, and but we've definitely both gotten better, and it was wonderful. Also me and my DP work in a fairly unconventional way, so it's nice to have repeat actors who can step on a set and know what they're getting into. But Anya, also to see how she's grown and her professionalism is outstanding, aside from her craft, which is without question, but we were in these incredibly punishing environments, and she's wearing basically a potato sack, and she's conducting herself without in a way that's inspiring to all the background characters who are also playing enslaved people in potato sacks and bare feet in the freezing cold mud.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned just now that you think you've got better. Do you think you do get better as a filmmaker with every passing project? Does that excite you about what could be in line for you in the future as well?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've only made 3 movies, so if I knew everything about filmmaking, I mean, it's not it's not possible. And I want to always be growing and stretching myself.
But just very quickly, I mean, this is free for free, wonderful films now. Is there something that, because I know some filmmakers, when they make kind of movies, they had these kind of unofficial trilogies in their mind and stuff. Is there a continuing strand for you? Is there something that you believe connects all of your work?
I mean, the past mythology, religion, the occult, fairy tales, folk tales. This is all going to be a continuing theme. But I definitely, the Witch and the Lighthouse are both New England folk tales. This Viking movie is something else, even though they share a lot of things in common.
Well, I can't wait to see what's next. Thanks so much for your time, Robert.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey, you